Hello there, my lovely frugal friends. This is Samantha, the channel Trying to Get By. I hope you are all doing well. So I've got some cooking videos for you today that I thought you might like to see. Now, a lot of the videos that I do, I have made before and are tried and trusted recipes. But there are also quite a few videos where the time I am videoing is the first time I am ever making something. Oh, by the way, if you can hear a noise in the background, the washing machine's on. And most of the time, these recipes have gotten pretty good. One of these videos today didn't go quite as well as I'd hoped. Let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see my fails as well as my successes? Do you only want tried and true recipes? Or are you interested to see what I do and how I adapt and what I've learnt from the fail? Have a look, let me know in the comments below.
The fridge is practically empty. No potatoes, no onions, peppers, mushrooms, etc. Bit of lettuce left over from ages, bit of kimchi, bit of homemade jam, condiments, milk and butters. Got a bit of coconut milk left over, I'm going to use that. We've got a couple of bits that I've pulled out. So all is not hopeless. We've got courgette. Ah, what is the price? Leftover bits of tomato, leftover bit of onion, scallion, whatever. This is some pickled garlic that I've had room for ages. I'm going to go with some pasta. We've got some tinned tomatoes that we canned ourselves. So we're going to go for a slightly fresh tomatoey, slightly creamy thing. It's a bit similar to what I've made before, but it's just a case of using up what I've got, because this month we are not shopping for all those bits and bobs. We're using up loads of stuff and we're doing big Asda and Tesco shops when we can. I've had the courgette cooking for a little while. I then threw the onion in, cooked that till it was soft, then chucked in the fresh tomatoes. Now I'm about to put in the canned tomatoes once I can get them open. Okay, open. So if you've not got like fresh tomatoes like these are just ones that I've canned myself from my own tomato haul. Just throw in a tin of tomatoes or some other fresh tomatoes that you've had, because this is just going to be a bit lighter. If you use tin tomatoes, it's going to be a bit of a a deeper flavour, not quite as fresh tasting. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a warm through. I've got some coconut milk, I'm going to throw that in just to creamify it. There we go, about 100 mils of that. And that's going to creamify the sauce. And that's basically it. Add a little bit of salt, maybe some herbs if you want to, or keep it nice and fresh. Got my pasta going there, and that's it for my tea. You've seen something similar for me, but I just thought I'd show you what I'm throwing together today. I was thinking about making a risotto in the slow cooker, but then I had a look in the cupboard and I didn't have any risotto rice, but I do have paella rice. So you can sort of make a risotto using paella rice, but I've decided to go for paella and try and make that in the slow cooker and see how that works. So, ingredients that I have got: onion, garlic are going to be the starting parts to the dish. We've also got some pepper. That's just one small red pepper. I've got a couple of mushrooms at the back, and I have got the courgette that is the size of a small child. This is actually a courgette that is 1.5 kilos. That is about over 3 pounds of courgette that was hiding in the garden. So we're going to use some of this. It's probably not going to make a dent in it, but we're going to use some of it. I've also got some frozen veg to throw in there as well, because I figured that would look nice and taste nice. And as we're making a fully veggie paella, that will be useful. Now, I've also got some tomato. You could just use a tin of tomatoes. I've just got these that I can myself. I have also got, now this is traditional in paella, but it's not something I would say would be in most people's cupboards. I have got some, yes, saffron. However, this has been in my spice drawer for probably 4.5 years, and I've just never got round to using it. But as I am trying to be more minimal in what I have, I might as well use it up because it's going to sit there and do nothing otherwise. So all I'm going to do with the saffron is unpackage it. So let's get the camera set up. We're going to unpackage it. We're going to hope it's all right. What am I going to do if it's not? Then I'm just not going to use it. So in here it should be some saffron threads. Oh, it's double packed. This is quite exciting, this. Let's have a look and see. Oh, it's just a little bit of saffron powder. That's okay, not full thread, so not quite as expensive. And we bloom it in a little bit of water. So there is that lovely orangey colour that you get from saffron. So I'm just going to leave that off to the side. That's that. We are going to pop that in the bin. And then we're going to get on with everything else. So I have got my Instant Pot going. And the benefit of an Instant Pot is that it's got the saute function. Because if you were going to do this otherwise, you would have to do it half in a pan and then transfer it to the Instant Pot or to your slow cooker, which is a bit of a pain, but this saves a little bit of extra washing up. So I'm just going to heat that up, get a bit of oil in there, and then we're going to go in with those onions till they are nice and translucent. So that's our onion. That's just one small onion. I'm going to put in about, right, so that's probably 1 garlic clove, 2 garlic cloves. Just give that a little, only going to do the garlic for a second or two. I don't want it to burn. Next in with the peppers. So let's get those scooped up and dropped. If you have seen my recent tidying video, cleaning out the clutter, yes, I am keeping this, not going anywhere. So useful to use. Right, peppers in. I've cut up the courgette. I only used about that much of it. I think that's like 3 inches of it. And there's still a massive load left. It's probably going to be good for about 5 different meals. So, courgette in. And mushrooms, I just cut in half and sliced those up as well. There we are. Give those a minute or two just to saute a little bit, and then we'll start adding the rest of the ingredients. While we're still sizzling, I'm going to go in with the paella rice. So it's about 75 grams per person. This is a 500 gram container. So I'm going to put in about 2/5, so 200 grams, because whatever's left is going to be my lunch tomorrow. And what you want to do is let the heat, similar to a risotto, let the heat get to the rice, because as the heat gets to the rice, it starts to fracture the rice, and that means the rice will absorb the liquid better. There we go. Now, one of the next things we're going to do is add our stock. Now, I've got my lovely bouillon powder that I get from Unicorn Grocery, which if you've seen my videos, you know it's my favourite. If you've not got it, or not got one that is as intense as this, and you're just using a stock cube, use 2, just to amp up the flavour. Because I'm not adding any meat to this, so it's not going to have, say, a chicken stock or a chickeny flavour to it, which you would get if you were a meat eater. So I get all the rest of that flavour from the stock. Now, if you're worried about protein, I did not know this until I read the packet. Did you know that 75 grams of rice will give you 5.2 grams of protein? That's not bad. It's a start for something. And then you add in other things. There we go. Right, next we will put in our stock. So I'm going to put in a good tablespoon of that stock, which is, like I say before, it's a mixture of onion powder, garlic powder, tomato skins that have been ground up, just some mixed herbs, and just what you'd get in a general vegetable stock. Now we've got a bit of, if you can see it, let's zoom in a little bit, can you see the fond at the bottom? Flavour. Fond is flavour. Fond is good. Granted, if it goes pitch black, that's just this telling me it's been on for 15 minutes in total. Right, next, saffron. Boiling water. Now I'm just going to pour in a bit of boiling water to start with so I can scrape down the sides. We're going to add our frozen veg to this next. So I'm going to keep it on the saute function so it can still keep it nice and hot. Put in a nice mix. That's probably half a cup of frozen veg. I know sweet corn's probably not traditional in a paella, but peas are good, beans are good. There we go. Now the tomato. This is probably half a standard tin of tomatoes if I can open it. There we go. Just give it a tap on the side of the jar. In with the tomatoes. Whoop, make sure they all go in. And now I'm going to judge and see how much stock or liquid we have got. I am going to put in a tiny bit more. There we go. Just so it covers everything and a little bit extra. Right, quickly I'm going to do this because I can hear Archie moaning outside. Bless him, he's probably sat down. His legs are a bit wobbly today. So let me cancel the saute, put it on slow cook. I'm putting it on low, but just for about 2.5 hours, and then we're going to see where we're up to. So pop that lid on. Can you hear him? Bless him. Let's go and see where he is. What are you barking at? Can you not get down the ramp? Because Smarty's in the way. Come on then. Smarty beep beep. You have to move so Archie can get down. Come on. Oh. Smarty loves Archie too much, I think. Come on. Down we go. And he likes to jump over the end of this. I think his eyesight's not that great and he kind of misses that little bit. There we go. In we go. Come on. All these ramps that we've built for you. Up we go. Come on. There we go. Finally in. Right, I have opened this already and I have just come back and I was thinking, well, not come back, I've just looked at this. It's been on for about 1.5 hours and on camera it doesn't look too bad, but if this carries on for another hour, because I came to look to see if it needed any extra water because I thought, oh, you know, obviously it uses up too much water, blah, blah, blah. But I think the rice is 1.5 hours. I'm just going to test it. This rice has got no bite to it at all. It is soft. Which I don't mind. But it's lost that consistency that paella should have. So I'm thinking maybe because the Instant Pot heat from the saute was still there. So that was quite an intense heat. And then I've gone on to, now did I do it on high? Did I press high? I'm going to have a look back at the camera and see if I looked at what I was doing. And did I leave it on high by accident? I'm not 100% certain. I don't know. Anyway, Chris isn't home. It's only 5 to 6. Chris isn't going to be home now for another, well, he'll be home about 6:30-ish. But normally he comes home, gets home, goes on his drum kit for like 10-15 minutes just to kind of wind down at the end of the day, then has a shower, and so we eat about 7 o'clock. But I'm thinking he might just have to eat at 6:30 tonight, because otherwise if this keeps going any longer, let's check the carrot actually. Carrot's still got a bit of bite to it. But if he waits too much longer, this is just going to be mush. What I am thinking of doing though is just before I serve it. Now, if I did a paella in a pan, I like a nice crispy base on the paella. So I'm just thinking if I leave this like this, have it completely switched off. So I'm going to unplug it, leave the lid on, but not like too tight, so it's not going to trap in too much heat. Then when it comes time to serve, if I turn the saute function on and the bottom for a few minutes, we might start to get a bit of a crispy base and see how that goes. Not 100% certain. This might be a bit of a fail, so we might have to try this again sometime. Right, Chris is home. This is still quite hot. So I'm just going to do what I said I was going to do, which is, for a start, find the right plug and plug it back in. And go in with the saute function just to see if I can get it to crisp a little bit on the bottom. I don't know whether it will, or will I just mess the whole thing up? We shall see. So I've turned on the saute function. It'll take a couple of minutes to heat up. So I'm just going to leave this go. I'm not going to touch it now and see if we can get it to crisp up slightly on the bottom. But before it does, I'm just going to put in a bit of salt. Okay, a little bit of salt. And just give that a bit of a flit around. There we go. And let's see if we can rescue this very slightly and see what happens. That's my slightly maniacal laughing for when something goes wrong. But it will not get wasted, it will still get eaten, because we don't waste food in this house. The only time we would bin it is if it was burnt to a crisp. Oh, I can hear sizzling. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera. Yes, there's definite sizzling going on. So we'll let it sizzle for a couple of minutes and we'll see what happens. I am calling this a fail. Or as I like to call it, a first attempt in learning. This is the first attempt I have ever had at making paella in the Instant Pot. So I need to take notes from this. I need to think about what I need to do differently. So we're going to adapt. It's not creating a nice crust on the bottom. It's just getting a bit sticky. I think the rice is too well cooked for it to create that nice super crust that I really like on the bottom. So we're going to turn it off. We're going to dish up and I'll learn for next time. Quick update. I have finished my plate, promise. And actually, we've adapted it. We've put some sweet chilli sauce on it and Chris has sprinkled cashew nuts on his, and it just really, really enhanced it and it made it really, really flavourful. Not that there was anything wrong with the flavour before, but I think the mush just took away from what we were eating, the fact that the rice was so mushy. So yeah, sweet chilli sauce on that has rescued it. So all good. This is the dish I'm making for tea tonight. I'm doing it in the Instant Pot. The beeping of the Instant Pot's telling me that the saute function is ready. It's not got rice in, so it won't end up overcooked. But I had that rice the next day and it was actually still fine. It was, yeah, overcooked. So I know for the future, just to keep an eye on the saute function. Does it affect? That's what we need to think about. Anyway, this is mushroom and bean hot pot. It's basically a mushroom and bean stew. And it's slightly curried. So that sounds quite nice. So all I'm going to do is I've just got a bit of oil in my Instant Pot. I'm going to go in with onion first. And then I am going to put in my mushrooms, which I have not chopped. I have just kind of broken up into pieces. Kind of just get a mushroom and go. Squeeze and break them up. It just makes them feel a bit nicer, a bit more chunky, a bit more meaty, as we would say. So that's one onion, a pack of mushrooms that I got off Olio, so they were free, and it was about, how many grams? 300 grams of mushrooms, because we like our mushrooms. So that's just going to go in there and saute. Now the rest of the recipe says plain flour for thickening, mild curry paste. I'm just going to use some curry powder because that's what I've got. Bit of white wine. No, I'm not using that. Tin of tomatoes. It says chopped tomatoes, but I use plum tomatoes because I find them better. Sun-dried tomato paste. I've got tomato puree. And mixed beans. Well, I've got these Aduki beans I got from Rogers Wholesale a little while ago, so I'm going to use those. Later on, when you are finished, you're going to stir in some mango chutney. So that sounds quite nice. So all I'm going to do at the start is just saute off these mushrooms and onions and then start adding other ingredients. Right, these mushrooms and onions have been sauteed for a little while, so they've just gone a little bit softer, a bit steamy though. So in we go in next with some flour. It's just regulating the temperature. And our curry paste or powder. It's about 2 tablespoons of flour and a good tablespoon of curry powder, but obviously it depends on how much curry you like. Give that a little mix. Cook that flour out slightly. Let's see if we can waft away. There we go. So it's not too steamy. I'm going to add the tomato puree next. So 1 heaping tablespoon of tomato puree. Cook that out for a minute or so. I've just rinsed the beans. All I did was open the can very slightly, drain out what was there, fill the can with water, give it a shake, and then drain it again. And that's pretty good. So there we go. We're getting a bit of a fond on the bottom, that nice crispy crust, which is all good. Let me see if I can hold this up higher. There you go. Right, in next with our tomatoes. In lieu of wine, I'm just going to pour a bit of water from the kettle into the tomato can. Give it a swish so we're not wasting all that tomatoey goodness that is on the side. Oh, not even looking, reaching for the spoon. I can't even find it. Right, I'm just going to mash down these tomatoes because obviously it was meant to be chopped tomatoes, but I'm not using those because if you've watched this before, you know I prefer these tomatoes because they just have much thicker sauce and just don't seem as watery as chopped tomatoes. So I just think the flavour ends up being a little bit better. Right, next, beans. There we go. That is everything. I'm going to pop the lid on. Oh, it's all the way over there. And put this on slow cook for an hour and a half. So cancel that. Slow cooker, not high. See, I think it defaulted to high when I made my rice. I'm still going on about it, I'm sorry. Low. An hour and a half. And we'll see where we're up to. We're all done in here. Lid off. Just gonna do the, now let me just put this lid down a second. But did you know, as I just move everything across, you can rest your lid. Did you know that? If you didn't know that, you know that now. How cool's that? Anyway, let's have a look. See, this smells amazeballs. And I'm going to have a quick taste. But I know it's going to be hot. I can still see loads of steam. Ah! Right, let's do a quick. Ooh. Oh, that's nice, that. Now, it says to put in some mango chutney. So I'm just going to go and get that. Okay, mango chutney in a couple of good blobs. Probably about a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons, depending on how sweet you are going to want this. All right, give it another mix. So you've got the heat with the curry powder. Now you've got the sweet. So let's do another quick taste-a-roo. Oh, that's quite, oh, I like the mango chutney in that. I've never thought of putting, obviously you have a curry of mango chutney inside. I've never actually thought of putting it in this kind of dish before. That's us sorted for tea. What we're going to have with this? Well, I made a chilli the other week, and I made some cornbread. This is Ree Drummond's skillet cornbread. Link in the description box because I have done a video on it. And I've got some that we have saved, and I cut it into thirds, and it goes in the freezer. This is, yeah, pretty much defrosted. I'm going to give that another 10 minutes. So I'm just going to pop the lid back on here, and it will be good once that cornbread has fully defrosted.
It all turned out pretty decent in the end. I mean, it wasn't a perfect dish. The rice was overcooked, but it still tasted pretty good. And we adapted it and added like other flavours to it to kind of just ride past the squidginess of the rice. Like Chris added cashews to his to add texture and crunch, and that worked for him. He said overall it wasn't that bad. But one thing we don't do in this house is we don't waste food. It would have had to have been burnt to a crisp, I think, for us to even consider throwing it in the bin. And then it would have gone in the green bin or the recycle in the compost to be composted down. So it wouldn't have been wasted completely. But I hate throwing food in the bin. I am trying to be a zero waste person in that respect. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, hit me up in the comments with what you think we could have done, should have done, and what you thought about what we did do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.